But yes, as I said earlier, the summer season is wrapping up. There's a few shows that still have like 1 or 2 episodes left because they've been delayed so much, like Otokonoko. Makaine's got 1 single episode. It's going to be an original, so it doesn't really matter. Monogatari series apparently is going who knows how long. Does anybody have a confirmation on that? I think they're still listed as unknown episodes. Everything else that really matters, I've finished. So I think I can successfully do a tier list at this point. Anyways, so let's get started. Let's start it. I just right off the bat, we'll start off with Dead Demons Destruction. I absolutely adore Dead Demons. I think it's an absolutely fantastic adaptation. And yes, I do know that for the source material readers, it was butchered in some ways. And that's mainly because, as I noticed based on the first few episodes, trying to read the manga alongside it, they moved a lot of stuff around. There's a lot of apparently context around the little manga that they keep referencing that is based off of Doraemon. I don't care about that stuff. I just watched the anime, and I thought the anime was absolutely fantastic. Now, I won't say it's a perfect show, and that's mainly because everything in the actual government, the officials, all that stuff, boring as hell. Didn't care. Like, everything around the government and the officials and all the political stuff, all that stuff sucked. That was just horrible stuff. It didn't have any context, nothing to chew on. What I loved it for was like a pre-apocalyptic sense slice of life story. I love the backstory stuff, the looping they kind of do with all that kind of stuff. It's just super good. I love the characters. S tier. It's probably on my rating sites. I'm probably gonna rate it ooh, this is gonna be tough. I'm conflicted between a 9 and a 10. Because I think there's so much of the political stuff that just they keep hitting on over and over again that I just thought was blah. That it kind of brings it down a little bit for me. But I almost want to say 10. Like, the art direction, the directing, the visuals, the characters, the slice of life amidst sci-fi apocalypse is super good. Super good. But yeah, I loved it. King Dededede. Good that I didn't finish episode 0. It sucks that you started it. I'm so glad that the community that I have, everybody's going, Andrew, don't watch episode 0. Like, all these people DMing me and everything, because I was excited for it. All these people DM me and going, no, don't watch episode 0. I'm like, okay, what's wrong with episode 0? It's like, there's like 95 chapters, something like that, of the manga, and this is like set in like chapter 92. And it's like, what? What? Okay, that makes perfect sense. GG. Now, the sucky thing about Dead Demons is that I think there's a lot of... I kind of fed into one of them, and that was the subtitling. There's a lot of misinformation around Dead Demons, that Crunchyroll did all this. And I don't understand why people get that mindset that this is Dead Demons' release is Crunchyroll's fault, because they have nothing to do with the production. Like, they're not in the production committee. They're not involved with it. Apparently, the subtitling and the dub choices was a decision by them, who they wanted to do the subtitling, the dubbing. I don't know. I think I seen there was a source for that, so don't take that 100%. But again, Crunchyroll's not in the production committee. They can't make decisions on its release. There's people that believe that that Crunchyroll took the movie and they cut it up and they put crappy subtitles on it and released it. That's not how distribution works. It's like Crunchyroll stole the show and did whatever they wanted with it. That's not how it works. So I don't know. People love this kind of stuff, though. I just hate people choosing the weirdest things to blame Crunchyroll on. Like, choose the things that they actually do wrong. I hated the subtitles, by the way. It drove me nuts. I think they fixed it, ? I don't know if anybody's confirmed that yet. I know the later episodes it got fixed. But the earlier episodes, it sucked because the subtitles were based on the script of the dub, and it was lined up with the dub. And there was a lot of changes that they did, and additionally, there was no subtitles on on-screen stuff, which is kind of important. But I think they fixed it also. But I'm not going to dock a show for that. Is Dededede a go watch? I need a good anime to watch. If you like twisted slice of life is how I would kind of put it. Twisted slice of life. Like, things are not normal, but people are trying to move on kind of thing. I love it. It's super intriguing. Very sci-fi. It's a lot of D's. Yep, that is a lot of D's. That is 4 D's. 4 capital D's. All right, let's move. Let's get rid of the cheeriness and go on to something negative. I absolutely hate the manga despite Anton. You despise Anton? Really? I've seen a lot of people hating Anton. I like Anton. Anton's great. There's like a lot of people hate the drooling. People just despise the drooling, and it's like, I like that stuff. Again, it gives character to a bunch of brats, basically. A bunch of stupid little brats. A bunch of stupid, drooly little brats. I love it. Scamps. That's probably a bad word these days, huh? You like sci-fi? It's in there. It's all up in there. It takes a little bit for the they do sprinkle in the sci-fi, and it kind of, well, I mean, it starts off sci-fi because there's an alien ship there. But it sprinkles it in, and then later on it gets a lot more juicier. Anyways. Yeah, Dededede was great. Dededede is definitely easily probably my favorite modern setting modern setting, like, supernatural. Last Crusade Season 2. Just throw it in the trash. I don't care. Now, admittedly, I didn't finish it. I dropped it, and that's partly because it just, the quality sucked. It was garbage. Is it on hiatus? I wouldn't doubt it, because what I did watch looked like garbo. Especially like episode 2. Episode 2 was horrific looking, dude. Like, it looked so freaking bad. No joke. So yeah, that doesn't shock me at all that it's on indefinite hiatus. I liked season 1. Clear. I liked season 1. I thought it was good. But yeah, the second season, bleh. Put that out on hold and kept forgetting about it. It's a good one. I didn't care so much for the final season, I think it was, but it was really good. All right, Spice and Wolf. Really, really, really happy for the readaptation of Spice and Wolf. The fact they start from the beginning, I kind of called it. The fact that if they adapt what they skipped the first time, that's a good sign that we're gonna get a full adaptation. Now they could still not do a full adaptation, but it's pointing more and more towards the idea of a full adaptation. One, because of I hate it, but the hinting that they're doing with the storytelling, which I don't like, but it does kind of indicate what they're planning on doing. The fact that they adapted Elsa's arc was like, the moment I seen the OP changed and it had Elsa in it, I was like, there it is. There it is. We got confirmation right there that they're going to keep going. And sure enough, once the last episode aired, another season's been announced for it. I'm super happy. I thought Elsa's arc was really good. So even if they didn't have a season 2 announcement, I was happy to have Elsa's arc adapted because it was actually a really good story. But yeah, I'm super into this one. Yeah, it's still definitely an S tier. Now, I kind of wanted to bring down an A, and that's because I've read the story, I've watched the story. This segment, I've read it, I've watched it already, but it's still super good. I love it. The chemistry is just golden. Spice and Wolf, pure masterpiece. It's better than the original, and Holo is God. GG. I love Holo. The chemistry between Holo and Lawrence is just... It's hard to find, like, another story that does it better. Like, I can't really tell you a story that has a better chemistry than Holo and Lawrence. They're just so perfect for each other. Which is the point of the story. But yeah, I love it. Visually, I have my issues visually. Like, I assume they're going to have CGI stuff here and there. The CGI wasn't that bad. I mean, it's not good, but it wasn't as prominent as I was really kind of afraid of with the PVs. Visually, though, I do like the new style. It definitely much more fits the aesthetic of or at least the modeling of the source material. I think my only issue was really with her wolf form. I don't know why, but with her wolf form, for some reason they decided to make it a much more puppy looking. Like, it looks more like a dog rather than a wolf. And that's probably the only yeah, see, Duhalt agrees with me. It looks much more like a dog than a wolf. And I'm not sure why they chose to do that. Maybe they're artists that are doing the animation, they don't know how to draw wolves, so they're making her look like a dog. Maybe they're hoping if she looks more like a puppy, it'll be more... I don't know what they're doing. That's my only issue, is that she's got, like, way too short of a snout. It looks more like a dog. It's fine, though. Doesn't bother me that much. Okay. Interesting one. No longer allowed in another world. This is easily probably the biggest surprise, well, one of the biggest surprises for me, not the biggest, for sure not. One of the biggest surprises for me for this season is definitely no longer allowed in another world. I'm probably going to say A for me. I will admit, like, the first episode was funny. The second episode was okay. Like, it had like a little bit of a bring down, but I think overall, like, once it got into all the isekais and the stories they have, it's really good. To give people a sense of what this is about, it's Dazai. It's the author that wants to end himself all the time. That's the whole joke. Japan loves it in storytelling. They love to have Dazai constantly trying to find a place to jump from. But what the concept is that he is traveling around this world, and this world brings isekais in to empower them and send them to take down the Demon Lord. But very quickly, like within the first like 3 episodes, the Demon Lord's done. Like the Demon Lord gets taken out. But the problem is that all the isekais are now causing problems. So he has to go around and meet these isekais, and as he's doing that, he's getting in, because he's an author, he immediately gets sucked into their stories, and he wants to write their stories down. So as he writes their story, and this is kind of slight spoilers here, the concept is that he writes their stories and then he's able to send them away. He's able to get them out of the world. So he's actually the counter to the isekais. And the stories that it ends up telling are actually kind of like, some of them are like super brutal. Some of them are like super tragic. I love them though. I actually really enjoyed it. Excited. I don't think they announced the second season, did they? I would love another season of it. You're no longer allowed here is you rank anything lower than S. I don't think it's a perfect show. Not that it lulls too much, but there's some kind of meh parts. Like, it's not always like great. But I think the cast is great too. It's got kind of a Konosuba vibe of like the group of just kind of degenerates, not degenerates, but like just useless. They're not as useless as Konosuba characters though, because like Tama and I forget what her name is, they kick butt. It's a very good series in general. It would have been great if a new season announcement, but it's good. I think it was a good stopping point though. That's for sure. I think it felt satisfying. Wonder how the future will tell the story of the Demon Lord's daughter and the sensei will go. The daughter was a surprise to me, because at the ending it shows the daughter again. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about her. Like, the daughter was pretty important early on, and then I didn't realize she was gone until at the very end. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Now, if you wanted I think so. Let me see. Let me double check here. Yeah. If you want my biggest surprise of the summer 2024 anime season, it's easily, without a doubt, for sure, Days of My Stepsister. This show is so freaking good. It is so freaking good. It is, I admit, it's not for everybody. It's not going to be for everybody. Fully admit that. Gonna accept that 100%. But it is super good. Like I joked about on the podcast when we reviewed it, Days of My Stepsister is, if you wanted to find something to throw this term on, the deconstruction term, which I think for some while got kind of overused, but I think Days of My Stepsister is the closest you can get to a deconstruction concept for the Wincest bro-con cis-con thing. Like, is that idea of we all want the kiss x cis, or we want the, Orimo or something like that. This idea of, brother and sister getting together and hugging and kissing and all that kind of stuff. And it just takes it and breaks it. Like, it just breaks it and shows it in a very human way. Like, I've never seen the idea of Wincest handled in such a very respectful way. And I probably should have seen that because of how they kind of opened it up. It says from the very beginning, this is not that story. That you see it in the light novels where they get together. That's not that story. This is a different story. This is about us as strangers and all that kind of stuff. And it gets into it. It gets into the feelings they have and development of the feelings and stuff. It's super good. People are drawn to his subreddit. Yeah, it's very weird, the obsession they have with it. This anime is wholesome. Stepsister's good. Says Stepsister's W. Bungo Stray Dog Dazai is jealous of his... I actually enjoy the slow pace. It gives the respect to the author. That makes a lot of sense. I can enjoy a slow burn like Farron and Apothecary Diaries, but Stepsister is so slow. It's like last hour traffic, right? Yeah, like I said, I'm going to fully accept the idea that there's going to be a lot of people that just are not going to be patient with this show. The best way I can describe it is it's not slow paced because every scene and moment has a purpose. Like, it's not slow for the sake of being slow. It's just, this is them existing. And I think, like I said in my first impressions, when I first started watching the show, I was like, if this doesn't do something with the time it takes to get to those punchlines, I'll be mad. Because it's a show that you can really do, you can feel as if it's wasting your time. Like, I'm sitting in these moments, I understand why this moment is drawn out. Like the scene with them having a little bit of an issue erupt. They're in the dining room, they're eating, and it's the shot is looking down the hallway, and it's just silence for like 30 seconds. Like, it's a 30 seconds of silence just sitting there. But it's to give that impression that the two of them are having kind of a little communication issue, and they're sitting in that silence. And like I said, if they didn't deliver, I would be upset. But they delivered. They delivered tenfold. Like, it is such a great portrayal of essentially love blossoming, the trying to understand each other, breaking down barriers, the barriers they create for themselves, and eventually trying to figure out what they're going to do with those feelings. Episode 9 was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. The commentary the author did for the entire series showed me that he loved the adaptation as well, and just added like another layer on top of how much I love the series. The way it works in real life is not like in manga anime. And like I said, I do think that the way that it portrays the scenes and it's so set is realistic. And I think that's a problem that a lot of people have with slice of life. But slice of life usually keeps the pacing and the energy going with comedy. Whereas this one's just very grounded. It's very real. Midday stream, nice. Well, welcome to the stream, man. Not a problem to be slow. If the scenes have purpose, then that's enough for me. Exactly. They have purpose. Every scene does. 9 and 12 were my favorite. Dude, 9 was great. 9 was just so freaking great, dude. Anyways, Tower God, I chunked it. I probably should make a drop category, but dropped. Don't care. Yeah, great. Great spacing there. Oh, yeah, that's even perfect. Thank you. Droped? Don't care. Doped. What is this? What is this site sometimes, I swear. Anyways, that's fine. Dropped it, don't care. I didn't care much for the first season too much, except for the world building. The new one, the anime, the adaptation looked like garbage, so I dropped it. Had D&D on, so I missed the notification. Oof. Drop that ped. Drop that ped. Atri, this is like, I guess this is the only one that I kind of wish that I had the final episode to work with. It's not over yet, right? Anyways, I do like Atri, My Dear Moments. I think it's cute. I just think Atri kind of just sells a series. I think Atri's only problem as a series is the side characters are not that interesting. And I don't really care too much about any of the characters. But Atri and his chemistry is really super good. She very much so is a bundle of fun. It did technically do some stuff with the characters later on that I was kind of surprised about. I'll be perfectly honest, I kind of assumed the direction it was going with the whole idea of does a robot have a heart? And I had my assumptions on the direction that I would end up going, and it didn't do that. It actually did some surprisingly harsh stuff with the characters, so that did surprise me. I think its only weakness is that there's too many like, why the hell are people okay with this kind of moments in it? Like, there's one point where a character literally holds him at knife point, and they just kind of shrug it off. Like, they just absolutely shrug it off. It does have sort of a not taking things as serious as you should take it moments in the series that work very weird. But I think Atri's really cute. It's kind of like a low B, high C for me. It's like just enough to be just a fun little show that I enjoyed. Wasn't as groundbreaking as I was kind of hoping it would be. I like Atri better than My Wife Has No Emotions. Oh, for sure, like 100%, I like Atri way more than Wife Has No Emotions. Spoiler for Wife Has No Emotions when we get to that. Atri, I love it because I didn't have time because there was more interesting anime, like Alya and Makeine. I don't blame you. It's kind of one of those ones where it's like, with such a packed season, I don't really blame people for not having the time for it. Though the reveal of who Atri is in Natsuki's past and seeing her relation with the mother, the mother's thing that was kind of ugh. Who is time to disagree stream? That's what you're here for. Is that not what you came here for? I give Atri an A. Atri herself, I give her an S, but the show itself just kind of has some lulling points. All right, it is time. It is time for the one that's probably gonna get me the most heat. We still have one more episode, but I don't think I honestly don't think the finale is gonna change my opinion on this series, because obviously it's been going on for what, 2 cores now. Slime A tier. First core was probably B tier. Yabe, yay Slime. Season 3 of Slime was easily my least favorite. However, still alright. Council time. Slime trash tier. Talking in a room for 4 episodes. Way more than 4 episodes. There wasn't a single episode that didn't have talking in a room this time around. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room before we get started. I am not against meetings. I am perfectly fine with meetings. And every single meeting segment that they've had in this series up until through the first 2 seasons, I liked. Like what was it, like right after, I think it was during this first half of season 2. Even that meeting I was fine with. I was fine, especially fine with the meeting of the demons. I think that was super cool. Or demon lords. The problem is that if you have a meeting, you have to be talking about something new or interesting. And I felt with season 3, its biggest problem of season 3 is that there was too much talking about what we already know. It was too many meetings where we're talking about that Rimuru became a demon lord. And I'm fine with finding out what every single character believes about him becoming a demon lord, but I don't need to have that full thing laid out over and over and over again. I felt like season 3 did that way too much. It's like, I know he's a demon lord. I know what happened with the army. I don't need to get a recap of what happened with Falmouth over and over again. Let Falmouth go. Like slice of life moments of Atri more than stupid drama parts. I did too. It was cute. Did not expect anything, so I skipped season 3. I think it's still important. That's the key thing there. I didn't watch it. Love the slow pace meeting stuff and novel. I put it in an A or B tier. This meeting could have been emailed. Emailed the Isekai. Slime is difficulty because I wanted to watch it, but I don't have time. Also, I know season 3 is the least favorite and the last favorite, and can't understand that, but they're always ups and downs. The static production of the meetings is what big issue, almost amongst the unnecessary recaps. It sounds like recap. And that's really what it is. I think that's mostly in the first half, obviously, because the first half is really, and I appreciate this, honestly. Like the previous meetings are literally them. Something big happens, and these political leaders have to know what's going on. For him to have relationship with all these nations, they have to be kept in check. They have to know what's going on, and these other nations are going to be wanting to know what's going on. The second half is the festival, which the festival was decent. It was decent. It was fun. It's just the first half, honestly, the first core of season 3 is just mostly meetings. There's like this brief moment where, obviously, they all kind of, the luminous group comes down there. So, Slime I wanted to watch, but there was no time. I know all about this. Talk about season 3. Yeah, it's almost like one of those arcs where you almost feel like you can probably like skip forward, not skip like over the show, just like kind of skim through it. But you know, enjoy it as you want to enjoy it. But I will say that like half this season was very much so. Like overall, if you took Slime season 3 and you looked at it overall and you put it in a pie chart, it's like I enjoyed half of it and I hated half of it. Not that it's like a 5 out of 10 season, but pretty darn close. Pretty darn close. Just too much recapping stuff in meetings, and that really did bog it down for me. I always love seeing the characters, though. I love the series as a whole. I love the lore, the magic, the mechanics of the world itself, but I think for a season for me, it's like in the B territory. Definitely like in the B territory. I'm glad they did what they did. I do hate that there was too many little tropes in there to kind of prevent them from actually having characters actually do something interesting against each other. But the tournament was fine. It's like done in an episode. Slime I want to watch, but there's no time. I tried the festival, but sadly it was stuck in meetings. I tried to see the festival, but I was sadly stuck in a meeting. Slime Season 2 is not so great. I like Season 2. I did like Season 2. Nothing beats Season 1, though. Season 1 was easily, like, its best arc so far. Next arc will be peak arc of the story. Trouble with Slime is that the light novel goes into insane anal detail within world building, which is fantastic for in the book, but doesn't translate well. And that's kind of what the assumption I had, is it just doesn't translate very well. It gets good. It gets good in one more arc. It gets good in one more arc. I've heard that one before. You ain't fooling nobody with that one. Screw you. Nobody listened to you when you said that kind of crap. See the festival as a rest moment. I kind of assumed that was the case, just because it almost seems like they're going out of the way not to get conflict going on. But I had fun speculating in the show. I had my crazy Masayuki will mind control everybody in the festival against Rimuru. My crazy theories on that, which could still happen. All right, Bye Bye Earth. Easily the biggest like cutoff show of the season. Like you're in the middle of a story arc and it just kind of cuts off and says, "See you later." They do have a part 2 coming, so I can't blame it too much, but that's a really crappy drop-off points. Bye Bye Earth is the prime example of an absolutely intriguing and I want more of it story that I'm assuming they don't know how to adapt, I guess. It could be that the novel itself is extremely vague on things, or it just could be that there's a lot of like inner dialogue that explains a lot of stuff, because this show is super fascinating. The mechanics are fascinating, the characters are fascinating, the world building's fascinating. I love every bit of it, but it doesn't explain things. It just like yells out power words every 2 seconds and shows a little caption on the corner of the screen about something that I have no clue what it is. I want to love this series. And I'm going to watch part 2, but I do have to admit that it's super confusing. I'm gonna put it low B. I think low B is good. So B, yes, B. Is run-of-the-mill Isekai? No. Bye Bye Earth is nothing like any other Isekai. The concept is that she wakes up from a crystal and it's a world full of nothing but beast people. And she's trying to find her people. And in most isekais, you get isekai to the other world, and they get involved with the world, and they enjoy the world. Bye Bye Earth, she doesn't want to be involved with the world. So it's very opposite. And she doesn't know where she's from. So it's a completely amnesiac type of story. It's very like old school JRPG in that regard. Such potential, bad executed. And again, I don't know. I don't know if it's a show don't tell type of storytelling, or if just the adaptation is skipping stuff. Because they've implied that Sion, who is her trainer, that he has told her a lot of information, but she has forgotten him. But still, as she's going about the world, she'll hear his voice explaining things. And I'm curious if a lot of these cases where it doesn't explain what they're talking about is where inner dialogue, it's explaining it in the novel. So I don't know. I don't know anybody that's actually read it, so I don't know if that's true or not. But it's a very fascinating world, though. I love the world, and especially Adonis. I think I'm saying his name right. Adonis is great, dude. His story is super good. Got bored and dropped about 3rd episode. Same with the stepsister. You got no patience, Dutch. You got no patience. Got no patience. If the story confuses you, something is wrong there. And that I'm mixed on that. Because in some cases, it's a show don't tell situation where you're not supposed to understand it quite yet. But I do agree at the same time that there should be at least a hint, or at least you have a concept of what might be going on. Not feeling always lost. So I agree with you, and I slightly disagree with you. Like, it can do that. As The Last Crusade in the trash, that one is great. I like Season 1, but Season 2 I dropped. The animation was poor. Alright, 2.5 Dimensional Seduction. The best way I can describe my feelings right now with 2.5 Dimensional Seduction, obviously it's 2 core, so we only have the first core done. So it's confusing. The best way I can describe 2.5 Dimensional Seduction is like episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold on a second. Nah, I'm not gonna make a D category. I'll just leave it in C. If anything else is really good in C, yeah, C is fine. C is fine. Haven't watched it. 2.5 is at least an A. Is good, but it can really get used to ecchi in the anime manga. Yeah, that's really where I fall with 2.5 Dimensional Seduction. When it first started, it had like a decent balance of not, yes, very much so toned down ecchi from the manga, but at the same time, it was enough that I was fine with it. Like there was a lot of people outraged by how unetchied it got. How I wouldn't call it censored because literally the production committee, they chose to make it that way. They chose it, so I don't really call it censorship. But I know there's a debate on that whole thing. They chose it. There's a lot of arguments that people are making that the mangaka wanted it that way because apparently later on it gets less censored, but it's not really because later on they still show the same amount of stuff, so I don't agree with that take it either. Anyways, early on, what I liked about 2.5 Dimensional Seduction is that it had a good mashup of the comedy, ecchi, and the character moments and cosplay. And the way it was taking the ecchi was the direction of sort of the playing off of what she enjoys about the mangas and the shonens that she's reading and getting the stuff from, and that ecchi that's in there and embracing it. It's really about like embracing the ecchi, embracing the lewdness. And it was done in such a very fresh way, in my opinion. But then as it goes along, all the ecchi basically gets taken out of the entire thing, and you're left with what I feel is a very mediocre rom-com that's dressed up in cosplay. Like, we're doing here's your mediocre rom-com label placed on it, cosplay. We're doing cosplay while you're doing the rom-com. It just doesn't really feel like it's doing much good with the characters. And these last few episodes, I really didn't like. The way that it portrayed this character, what they're going through, and how literally an entire years of what this girl has been going through, years of what this girl has been stuck in, and her desire to seek out cosplay, and her cosplay being the way to do it, and literally feeling like she doesn't have a place in the cosplay culture despite the fact that she loves the cosplay so much. She got over all of that turmoil, years of being stuck in place, stuck in this mindset that she cannot be friends with other people, and that she has to do things the way she does it. She got over all that by staring through the crowd at two individuals. It just all fixes in her head. Like, somehow she figures it out. All that time, she figures it out by staring through a crowd at somebody else while people are taking pictures of her. It made no sense. Like, it drove me crazy. Like, that entire segment, I'm like, how are they having this conversation in their minds at each other right now? It was annoying. I didn't really, again, the censorship, not really censorship, the lack of the ecchi didn't bother me so much, also because I was reading the manga alongside of it. I do hate there's like a couple of segments they decided to skip from the manga, which were really good as well, but she does look like MASH. She's literally like MASH if she was in our timeline and she liked ecchi and cosplay. But I still enjoy this series. It's not like I'm going to throw it away. I did feel like dropping it. I did drop it from my weekly impressions. That gives you an indication there. There's just nothing to talk about. I just felt like I was getting too negative about the series, so I just completely stopped doing impressions on it. I didn't want my impressions videos of 2.5 Dimensional to turn into hate watching. And I felt like that was the direction I was going, so I decided to drop the entire thing from my list. So My Dress Up Darling, that thing he doesn't do is great. Dude, My Dress Up Darling just destroys the show, too. That's the other problem. Not to say you can't watch both of them. The show spirit is too ecchi to not have the ecchi. And I agree. And now, granted, in the last few chapters, there isn't much ecchi in the story right now in the manga. It's just every now and then they'll have like a side chapter or something and it shows a little bit ecchi. But it's not that ecchi right now. But it lost that joke. But no, my whole point is if it's by the choice of the creator, it's not censorship. If they choose they don't want to have that, it's not censorship. If the production committee said, shut up, creator, we're going to cut all this stuff out, yes, that's censorship. But anime is its own thing. Lewd is better when it's not shamed all the time for comedic effect. Third-rate My Dress Up Darling. Hallmark brand Dress Up Darling. Wish they embraced the lewd. Yeah, and I think they were doing that early on. Like I said, even if it wasn't showing as much as the manga was, I think early on it was a good balance. I think it was fine. What up, Sergio? Hope you're doing well. Critique is not hate watching unless you bash the series. The better way people will see it as hate watching, I guess is the best way to put it. People will see it as hate watching because they enjoy the show and they don't want to hear somebody say something negative about it. Oh, Andrew's talking about My Dress Up. Got it in my head now. Andrew's watching 2.5 Dimensional Seduction. They go to watch my take on it and they like it. They're like, oh, it was a good episode. And then they hear me do nothing but hate, or not hate, but critique the entire episode. I mean, I feel like I have legitimate critiques, but it's so negative. I don't like to get stuck in negative. I like to talk about things that I'm enjoying. I like to talk about things that I'm having fun with. My criticisms aren't going to affect the production of it. It's already made. It's really different between self-censorship instead of external censorship, considering the creator is modifying the adaptation from source material. It's still censorship? Not really. Censorship is when something is intended to be shown and they take it out. If the creator's intention is to not show it, it's not being taken out. Beginning which should be lewd at the beginning, then you learn this more. It was definitely a bait and switch. Let's be for dang sure. The first couple episodes were definitely bait and switch. They just took that stuff out quick. Anyways, that's that. What the hell is this show called? I freaking forgot the name of the show. I haven't watched it in so long. I wanted to get back to it. I just never did. So, I don't have an opinion on it. I was enjoying it for like the first I watched like 6 episodes of it. Yozakura Family, right? Yozakura Family? Yeah, Yozakura, yeah. I might get back to it. Probably not at this point though. It got lost in the transition to the next season, and that just happens for some things. VTuber. I dropped it. I'm not gonna put it in trash because I understand what it's doing. I think what it's doing, VTuber Legend, I think what it's doing it perfect. Like if I was bothered by it and I dropped it because I don't have a feeling for it, that's proof that they're doing a great job. I fully acknowledge that if you like VTubers, this show does it perfectly. But I don't care for VTubers. I think VTubers are fine. I got tired of VTubers. So I haven't really watched VTubers besides like every now and then I'll watch a little bit of Pecora or something like that. I just don't like in general VTubers anymore, so I dropped it. I couldn't keep watching it. It's definitely hypocritical, and I'd argue that when people choose to limit their behavior in order to accept it or face backlash, that's some form of censorship. Yeah, I don't want to get into a big long debate about the censorship thing. I think I'm tired of it right now. You can talk about it in the chat though. It's fine. Excuse me. I think the conversation about censorship right now is getting way too heated, and people are just kind of getting stuck in talking about it. It's getting tiresome. Why do I hate VTubers? I don't hate VTubers. I just don't care for VTubers. I was super into VTubers for a while. I loved VTubers. I was getting super into it. Then they had the whole like first set of Ian VTubers that were being released in the West, and I got super into like Ina and all that kind of stuff. Was really enjoying it. And then at some point, I seen a pattern happening with VTubers, where they would have the VTubers that I liked are like the Hololive and stuff like that, where they would start off with like an introduction stream where they'll present their character and they will go through like this long description about what their backstory is for their character. And it was always so intriguing how they would play into that character. Like, this is my personality, this is where I'm from the Dark Realm or something like that or whatever. What I found is that I liked that introduction, and then over time, within weeks, the thirsty chat will send the supers, and they will get this kind of, basically the chat molds the VTuber. The VTuber sees what the chat wants, and they play into it. And so what I found was all the VTubers that I was watching, they went from their character they started out as, the caricature, their persona, into, they all become the same. They all become thirsty Yuri. They all become the same personality that the chat wants them to be. And I just At some point, I'm like, I just don't care anymore. Like, they're all becoming the same thing. I don't really care much for them becoming what the chat wants them to become, and I moved on. So, the VTuber singularity. But no, like all the credits to them, like the massive success that people are seeing. Yeah, Iron Mouse here recently, insane success. All the power to them. And again, I still watch Pecora every now and then. For overall, I just don't have the time for it anymore. It's also a time thing. I just don't have time. I like the Yuri too, but I don't need every single character to be Yuri. Like, I like them to be their own personality. I don't want them to be what the chat wants them to be, is really what it is. And like I said, VTuber Legend pulls that off in spades. Like, it literally, when I watched this, I said, that's exactly what I see. Like, they totally play into it. What I've learned watching this channel is that Andrew hates VTubers, especially drunk ones. Oh, man. Sylphie is a VTuber? Drunk VTuber? I didn't know that. What's her channel at? Where's Sylphie's VTuber channel where she gets drunk? I love freaking Yuri. I'll watch Yuri all freaking day, but I'm not gonna watch VTubers act like they're Yuri over and over again just to get supers. And that's the nice thing that I can say about VTuber Legends. At least the characters are wrote that they are, in fact, Yuri. They don't play into the Yuri for the chat. I agree, at least for corporate VTubers. Roshidari, A tier. We're not there yet. Yuki doesn't hide her feelings. She does not. Anyways, yeah, Roshidari. And yes, I am legitimately considering right now. I am legitimately actually considering right now. Is it S? Yeah, if you ask me like, I don't know, 5 weeks ago, I'd probably say S. The problem with Roshidari is that if the episode doesn't involve these 3 characters, it's not S tier. I think Alya is very, very attractive, and she has a great seiyuu, great demeanor and everything. But her story segments in the show were not super boring. They're like very middle, like 5 out of 10 area. It's like whenever he's with Alya, it's 5 out of 10 show. And then whenever it's with any of these other characters, it suddenly becomes at a 10 out of 10 show. Because their chemistry is so good. Like this writer, their chemistry is so freaking good. With Alya, the chemistry is just not there. Early on, like episode 1 and 2, their chemistry was super good. Very teasy, very fun. But after the episode 1 or 2, Alya becomes a very, very side character. Yeah, very boring in a lot of cases. Masha's better than Alya, for sure. Like, for me, Masha is, like, way up there between the 2 sisters. The last episode is not that great. The finale was very blah. Alya is cute but boring. Right. Alya, my girl, S tier if you please. Yuki is goddess of chaos, and I follow her to called Lemonade. Andrew, it just means that you're the character, not the story. It just means you like that I like the character, not the story. If you mean like overall, yeah, with Roshidari, besides like Yuki and Kuze's past with the So family, it's not like an in-depth story. It's very much so a rom-com that's about the character and chemistries. You don't have to have in a rom-com, you don't have to have an overall story that's amazing. But yeah, for sure, Roshidari is easily a show where the side characters took over. Like, literally took over. To the end of the discussion, Mina, for my wife, and No Emotion, and VTuber model, and channel on YouTube. Stalking scene, the main 2 characters. Yeah, exactly. The stalking scene was amazing. Like, it was such a good little segment. Like, so freaking funny. But they're just dull after that. Like, it's almost like the writer had some good things to do with Alya early on, and then they brought Yuki in the picture, and it's almost like they chose to... It's like all their good material, they chose to give it to the side characters. Like, early on, okay, I only have Alya to work with. Here's a really fun bit. And then it's so great. And then after that, the writer's giving all the good things they think of to all these other characters, but not Alya. The finale was weak a bit, yes, but the second season, so it's justified. I don't really agree with that. I mean, it doesn't change the fact that the finale is weak, is my opinion. Like, I'm happy there's another season coming. It's just like Goodbye Earth. The ending sucks if you didn't have a second season. Super sucks. I'm glad it's getting a second season, but it still sucks. It's still a sucky spot to stop it. You can't change that fact. But no, I would say that there's probably like... There's like 3 week episodes in Roshidere. So I don't know. I'm like... And this really does hurt me, by the way, because within the first like 3 or 4 weeks, my number one spot was being fought between Makeine and this show. And at some point, Makeine just destroyed it. Spoilers. Spoilers for that. I'm gonna put it in S for now, but if I get too many in S, it's gonna fall. If I get too many in S, it will fall. I still really enjoyed it. And yes, just for Yuki alone, S tier. Like, just for the great scenes they gave me of Yuki and Masha, and yes, some little bit of Ayano, it's S tier. But there's so many points in the story where they're not in the scene. Oh, they changed all the endings like Chainsaw Man? Yeah, I did that. I like that too. Especially getting Haruhi Suzumiya in there. That was really good. I don't think the all manga is a huge conclusion around whatever marks like 12 episodes. Alya is just like the main heroine. I only care about the entire product. I agree too. Like, Dead Demons Destruction's I don't like the ending of Dead Demons. I didn't mention that earlier, but I didn't really care for the ending of Dead Demons. It doesn't take away from the rest of the show, though. Andrew, if you enjoyed more than half of it, it should be S? No. No, that's not how that works at all. Aya's so boring. There's not much you can do with her. And fun characters. I mean, she's got the whole, like, teasing and hiding in Russian, but they didn't even do it. And that's probably a good thing that they didn't overplay that. But that's like her whole shtick, is that she hides her feelings. But she doesn't hide her feelings for very much. So it's like, what is her thing? Like, what is her shtick? Why is Alya season 2 not more than married? Anyways, we'll put it in S for now. Elusive Samurai when is this one even finishing? Last I checked it, I think the last episode I watched was 10 or 11. This is gonna be I don't even know if this one's gonna finish. Elusive Samurai, S for art direction, but A for everything else. I'm kind of in the same ballpark as you, but I'm probably gonna be a little more harsh. She got silver hair going for her, of course. I also agree that Elusive Samurai is very beautiful. It's a very beautiful show. Besides the whole like horse CGI bit that was really awkward, and I'm not sure why they chose to do it the way they did it. When it's not using CGI, the show is really freaking gorgeous. That whole fight in that one room where he was just wearing the guy down, bleeding the guy out, was super freaking cool. Just the footwork. Like, most of the scenes, the footwork is so freaking cool. Like, I can't get enough of that kind of stuff. That kind of, you know, is it Jackie Chan? You know, like, that whole, like, kind of footwork thing where they're just constantly dodging around is super good. But yeah, I don't care for it. In the end, I don't really care for this show. Like, this is a show that I kind of had to keep myself conscious. It's when it's not having a great epic fight moment, like the whole what the hell? What's his name? I'm blanking on his name. The Gemba. Is it Gemba? When they had the whole fight with Gemba, when he first wins over Genba, that was a super cool little segment there too. Just really great art direction and visual design and everything. I think the show overall looks really, really good. But I just don't really care about anything. The story, I don't care about. I do like a little bit of the chemistry. The biggest problem is that early on the show... The best way that I can explain my issue with Elusive Samurai is early on the show told me don't take me seriously. And so... ever since that moment where it kept telling me don't take it seriously, you have people's heads kebabbed on katanas as they're cheering the death of the innocent civilians that are all being slaughtered, children being slaughtered, husbands, wives are all being slaughtered in the street, and they're being decapitated and strung up on posts and stuff, and it tells me don't take me seriously by having this dumb guy's face pop in front of the camera with this insane bright lights, which blinds me with my monitor. It tells me don't take this seriously. And I'm like, that's okay, that's fine. All right, let's be silly. And then cut forward. Your brother's dead. Holy crap, that sucks. What'd they do to him? Holy... Don't take me seriously. Okay, show, I won't take you seriously. At some point, I got numb to even caring about the story because it keeps telling me don't take this seriously. It has massive, yes, massive tonal shifts. And I hate it. And I had the same problem with the creator's other work, which was Assassination Classroom. I don't care for this writer's comedy, and most of the show is the comedy. The drama doesn't want you to take it seriously, and the comedy is not my type of comedy. And so in the end, it kind of goes in that realm of like, I just want to watch it for the visual artistry of it, but I don't care for the story or the drama that it's trying to create. And it also gets very formulaic in the idea that it's almost like the insane commander of the week, where it's like, okay, here's the episode opens up, it shifts over to some random location where there's a general there that's going to be our next target, and then very quickly their face starts warping into like caricature of a demon, and it's like, okay, so that's the next guy they're going to kill apparently. I don't really care. Like, it becomes too comical to the point where I don't really care to get invested in it. So I don't know, it's in a very weird place where I couldn't really... It's its own thing. Like, Elusive Samurai is like almost its own thing. Like an action comedy that tries to take itself seriously now and then. It's very weird. Assassination Classroom did the same with the comedy shifts. Assassination Classroom was kind of like it almost has kind of a serious tone, because the idea is the world's gonna end. they gotta stop the alien before the world ends. But every now and then it would get like very kind of heavy, like with the characters' expressions and stuff like that. But then it'd just always be overlaid by Sensei's goofiness. Like, Sensei is a total dork, but every now and then he gives this like expression like he's gonna kill everybody. It's really weird. In the end, like, visuals alone, I'd probably put it in S. Like, visuals, I'd put it in S tier. But like overall enjoyment, it's like a C for me. I don't care for it, unfortunately. That's why I don't like parody series very much. Konosuba and sometimes Love War. Yeah, I think it's overhyped. I don't even know if I want to classify it as a comedy parody, though. That's the weird thing. Like, some like Konosuba and stuff like that, it's just like full-blown comedy. Like, it never takes itself seriously. Kind of like Assassination Classroom manga. I don't even remember how much what my feelings were. I know in the end I didn't care for it, but there's obviously something in Assassination Classroom that I enjoyed because I watched it all. All right, quality assurance in Another World. The biggest positive I can give for quality assurance in Another World is that it's unique. It's very different. It's very different. It is trapped in an MMO, but the guy is like very serious about his job. It's like, what would happen? It's really the concept of what would happen if basically bug testers got trapped in an MMO, but at the same time they all have their own thoughts on how they can get out. Like, they can't log out, and there's a way to get out. Yeah, it's surprisingly dark at times, which is kind of unsettling. And I almost wonder sometimes if the writer knows how dark that is. Because it does kind of hit a little bit on the idea of kind of being stuck in a loop or something like that, where your character can't get out of something, or they access the camera control mode and get separated from their body and can't get back into it. What would happen if you got stuck in a death loop in a game that you can't get out of? It has some unsettling ideas behind it. There is a lot of inconsistency in the mechanics of the world that does really bother me about the show. Like, they'll bring up a concept and 2 minutes later they'll say that it can't be done, which does bug me. There's a lot of inconsistency in the mechanics of the world. You call them plot holes. I think its biggest weakness, quality assurance, I think its biggest weakness is characters. Like, the characters aren't great. Like, I think the main guy is goofy. He's kind of okay. What was his name? Makoto. Makoto's okay. He's kind of oblivious. He's a very hardworking, oblivious dork. Like, they go into a location, everybody's stuck in T poses. He's gonna sit right there and start writing down bug reports. He's an obsessed bug reporter, and that's it's got a charm there for it. But like, Overall, I like the girl though. She's got a goofiness to her as well. I just think overall the chemistry's not really there, and I think that's where I kind of struggle the most. I do find it a very fascinating, unique world, but I don't think it's like an incredible series overall. It's like a low B, high C. I'm gonna put it the low B for now. The first episode was really cool though. Do you know that marched into Parallel World Rhapsody, the MC also a bug tester? Was he? Was he? Well, that's been so long ago. I don't recall that. Maybe I'm blanking on it. Personally, I'm enjoying QA Another World a lot more than I thought I would. And I did too. I think visually, the design of it's kind of unique too. I like the unique design to it. I mean, their character is in alpha testing. We need to update. Pretty good voice acting, weird show though. MC is a young child. He wasn't that young. He's enough to be in a corporation. He's not that young. All right. My senpai is Otokonoko. I like here lately. It seems like Crunchyroll's going way out of their way to avoid saying certain words. First, we had my senpai is Otokonoko because they don't want to translate Otokonoko, and then now we have if my wife was a student council, if my wife was an elementary school student, they decided to completely not translate that one. They decided to keep with the Japanese name. It's so great. It's like, man, Crunchyroll's dodging that bullet. My senpai is Shikanokonoko. Exactly. My senpai is a Shikanokonoko Ustantan. I think I'm saying it right. I've avoided that song, but like the plague. People trying to catch me on my Twitter feed with that song, and I'm avoiding it. Because show the whole tier list, right? That's all we have right here. Oh, well, there it is. Anyways, what are we on? Oh, Senpai is Otokonoko. I didn't finish it. I got like 5 or 6 episodes into it, and I didn't hate it. I don't like the chibi art style stuff, which I acknowledge is in the manga as well. I wasn't caring for the characters. Like I think that what was his name? The main guy, Makoto. I do like Makoto's character. I like Ryuji. I hate the girl. Like, she is so freaking obnoxious. She is so obnoxious. I like Makoto's story, but at the same time, I think overall the show just wasn't clicking for me. I don't think it's a bad show. Like, what I've watched, I'd probably say it's a B. Like, for what I've watched of it was like 5 or 6 episodes. I would probably say it's a B. Yeah, the girl bugged the hell out of me. S tier on Gimai, as I should. I should. I love it though. It was good though. Otokonoko is a fine show. Wasn't like super into it though. Andrew having My Hero Academia in a tier list. Yeah, I'm just gonna put in don't care. I really don't. At this point, I don't care. I'm not invested in the show. I will never claim to be the expert of the series. I've been checked out of the show for like 3 seasons now. I have no opinion of it. I'm just watching My Hero Academia at this point because I've invested into it. Some cost fallacy, call it that. Every now and then it does something cool, but I don't care. I really have zero care for the show anymore. It really started to wane for me. Shoot, when did it fall off for me? I would probably say I started cooling off on I was super into My Hero Academia early on. I loved My Hero Academia. I think the first season was great. Second season, I loved it. And then like third season onward, it's like that. It just constant drop for me. Like it never got good for me again. I don't know why. My recent issue that I've had with My Hero Academia is really around. I hate how shonen it is. Like the show early on, yes, it's a shonen. Yes, it's a shonen jump concept. And I mean by not demographic, but just by the concept of like, you know, kids powering up, getting stronger, and beating the big bad. That kind of concept. It has those trappings of it, but it felt fresh. Especially visually. It felt fresh. But later on, it just turns too much into the I have to save the bad guy. It feels so
it feels so juvenile in its way of seeing how the world around them is dying. People are dying, and they still are obsessed with, I have to save the boy. It's like, can you shut up and grow up like for 2 seconds here? Can we have some of the parents finally step up and say, kid, there's some things more important. The lives of thousands of people are in the wake of here, and you're too obsessed with, but there's a crying boy inside there. It gets a little too juvenile the way that it sees the situation sometimes. Not to say that you don't save the kid when it's in the burning building, but you know what I mean. After filler scene had hard side character focus. Looks like it's for little kids. It fell off. Too much action. I don't mind too much action. I just have to have in order for me to enjoy a lot of action, I have to care about what the fight is, and I just don't care anymore. Like here recently, we had like 3 fake deaths, and I didn't care about a single one of them. Like character gets impaled, and I'm like, sure, we'll see if it actually sticks. Like every time a character gets impaled, it's like, sure, we'll see if that sticks this time, because they love faking out deaths. At this point, I don't even care. Like how many times they faked out deaths in this show at this point is getting ridiculous. I don't know what they were doing. Maybe in the manga they were trying to spice things up by making characters die in a chapter and then come back the next chapter. I don't care at this point. They can show some of my favorite characters like Ochako die or something like that. I just wait for the moment they come back. I think that's even more insulting, is that they fake out deaths too much. This season they've done 3, maybe 4 fake out deaths in this one season alone. Like, that is dead. Like, the heart has been exploded. There's no coming back from it. Nope, never mind. It's just like, really? Anyways, moving on. I don't care. It's in my I don't care category. I'm not dropping it. I'm still watching it. Sunk cost fallacy, whatever you want to call it, but I'm just done with it. It's where that side character's dad got better character development than half the main cast. There are some weird choices for what actually gets development. Yes, I agree. Ossan, I dropped it early on. I was watching Parry and Ossan at the same time. And between Parry and Ossan, I felt Ossan is much more comedy driven. What I watched of like 4 or 5 episodes, it's super comedy driven. I wasn't not liking it. It's just at the time I was like, I'm watching Parry at the same time. I'm fine with watching Parry instead. So I ended up watching Parry, and I just didn't care to watch this one. I did want to get back to it, but I never did. It was good though. It was fine. It's where the side character, Ossan high A or S. You liked it that much, eh? It got better and better. Well, that's good to know. I should have watched that instead of My Hero Academia. Not watching My Hero Academia, not bothering with myself with mediocre. Yeah, that's the other problem, is like visually it's not doing well anymore either. And that was like its selling point early on. Second half of it was better. So I missed the good stuff. It gets good after episode 6. Alright, Pseudo Harem. Let's get it over with. Everybody's gonna hate me for it. I need to make a new category. I'll just put down here. It's trash. There you go. The Pseudo Harem is trashed here. There it is. Our tier list is done. Pseudo Harem, worst show of the season. I'm just joking, by the way. Honestly, Pseudo Harem, honestly, I find to be a very charming and cute show. It's charming and cute, but it lacks something. Like, it lacks something to chew on, honestly, is where I think I'd place it. Like, if you want a show that is just brings a smile to your face, it's like it's just got a fluffy nature to it, it's a good show to watch. I just feel like it's one of those shows where you see it on the plate and it's big and juicy and thick and charming. But the moment you bite into it and you chew on it and you eat it, it doesn't feel like you got anything out of it. Like, it just feels so empty in the end. I think her Seiyu is phenomenal. Seiyu that did Your Forger. She's an incredible Seiyu. Like, overall, she's phenomenal. Like, she is literally an S-tier Seiyu. She probably is the one that makes the big bucks in Japan. But it's one of those shows that at the end of the day, I don't feel anything for it. Again, it's fine. It's very cute. It does a lot more with its characters than most rom-coms will do in 15 volumes. which is surprising these days. But I didn't get anything out of it in the end. I guess S even after the final stress of the episodes. I'm mixed right now. I'm like, it's a low S right now, and if I get too many S, I'm gonna drop it down to A. I'm stuck right now. I like Pseudo Harem. Doesn't need to innovate. It's just as good as I wasn't asking for it to innovate. I just need to have something. Like not that it has to have a conflict, but it needs to have a build, I guess. A super episodic goodness. And that's the other problem, is that its comedy is very repetitive, especially early on. They got out of it pretty well, but it is kind of repetitive with its comedy. Yeah, visually it was not good. I agree. Character designs are hard to look at. They were super inconsistent with the character designs, like constantly. We'll be covering the first episode of the first show of the season from today, by the way. Which one was it for today? But no, I don't think so. I'm very mixed on what shows I cover for the first episode. Like, it has to be a show that I'm either super excited for or something that will have substance to talk about. But typically I try to wait for at least 2 or 3 episodes, because otherwise there's not much to talk about. Otokonoko, sadly the last episode got delayed by a couple of days. It's going to be a Sunday broadcast now or something like that. We'll see. I think Otokonoko is still like masterclass storytelling. I will admit, I struggled with the Tokyo Blade stuff. Like, the stage play stuff really killed a lot of the episodes. Like, it felt like half the episode was wasted. Absolutely wasted. I understand why they expanded the stage plays, but at the same time, you're talking about 4 panels in the manga get turned into 5 to 10 minutes of an episode. It was obvious they were trying to pad the episode so they can get to a climax of a character storyline in an episode and then cut it off. And I really do think a lot of that kind of killed a lot of the steam for the Tokyo Blade stuff, because there is some really good stories in Tokyo Blade. I think everything around the scriptwriter and the mangaka herself, the director getting involved as well, like all that stuff was really super good. Not the director, was the producer. A lot of that stuff was really, really good. Like, I think those stories were great. And yes, obviously, Kana and Akane's whole bout between each other was great as well. Really bolstering up Kana and showing how Akane looked up to her and everything. It's just all the Tokyo Blade mixed in there that was padding out the episodes, I hated. Which makes sense. They point out in the show itself, Tokyo Blade's not a good story. It's a dumb shonen. Like, even her senpai says your story is terrible. Like, it's not that interesting. Like, it's purposely made to not be interesting. So it sucks that he spent too much time on the Tokyo Blade play itself, but it's still like some of the best writing out there. I think Akazaka is just brilliant. And I love the entertainment industry looking, the darker side of the entertainment industry. First part was so boring, I got fed up with it. The first part of the second season or the first season? Tokyo Blade bored me as well, still S tier. My girl felt like main character. I was so happy to see Akane. Recently found the same universe as Love is War. It's not important, but curiosity, not gonna lie. I wouldn't doubt it. Same writer and everything. Oshiko is my favorite anime this season, edging out Makeine for me. That's a struggle right there for me, is Makeine. Makeine is S tier waifu to kill for. No, she kills for you. I'm probably alone on this, but I'm absolutely baffled by and disappointed that High Dive fumbled the ball so hard with the biggest IP and did not give it a simuldub. Yeah, they were like, I think in this first season they were what, 8? They were 8 weeks behind, which like I could have told them that was gonna get big. The fact that it was Akazaka, I could have told them a long time ago that was gonna be big. I mean, you could check with the source material readers. Everybody was loving the series. Yeah, chat, don't spoil Otokonoko. Don't be a bad chatter and get banned from the chat. It's not worth it. Not worth getting banned. I'm sure Earthly might be hiding, or Adrian might still be hiding somewhere to ban you. But yeah, I still love it though. I think it's some of the greatest look into the entertainment industry. Based on my experience digging into a lot of the entertainment industry, a lot of the stuff just kind of hits 100%. Fully understand it. Love the stuff, so I'm looking forward to more. This last episode was super good too. I'm really curious where they're gonna go from here. Anyways, Isekai Suicide Squad. I dropped it. Wasn't caring for it. I watched 4 or 5 episodes of it, like right when it came out, and just fell off. It wasn't grabbing me. The story was very blah, so I didn't continue it. It had a fun vibe to it, and that was really all I was looking for. It's something like I just wasn't being pulled to go back and watch it. Like it was, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, just fun. That's what I kind of figured. Fable I never got back to, but I was enjoying it. It was a lot better than I thought it was initially. I did a first impressions on it, and I kind of misread it as a comedy, but when I got further into it, like 3 or 4 more episodes, I was actually really enjoying it, but again, I just forgot to get back to it. Yeah, Harley Quinn would look great. I think her anime style is very Trigger looking. She looked great. She was like the only reason I wanted to watch the show was Harley Quinn. But I've always enjoyed Harley Quinn's character. Love is Indivisible by Twins. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I really, really, really hate. Not Days with My Stepsister. Love is Indivisible by Twins. Did I say Days with My Sister? By the way, Days with My Stepsister is S tier. By the way, I just misspoke. The other sister show. Yeah, my dog's name is Yuki. I named her after Wolf Children. Because when I first got her as a puppy, she was pure white. Then she got spots, as some dogs do. But no, Days of My Stepsister's biggest problem is its characters are absolutely terrible. I absolutely hate the logic behind the characters. I find them to be extremely unlikable and sort of toxic. And I could chop it up as it's just a harem show, and if it goes the harem route, it's fine. I hate Rumi. Yes, Rumi, thank you. I hate Rumi. The only good character in the show is Naori. If this show was nothing but Naori going to find somebody else and just leaving June behind, I'd be perfectly happy with it. I absolutely hate Rumi. I hate June. I think they're just absolutely nasty characters. And Naori deserves to be happy somewhere else. I was just waiting for Naori to do something that I would hate, because it almost felt like they were trying to make all the characters do something extremely nasty and then try to regain themselves, I guess. But I hate it. I said Days with My Stepsister again. Love is Indivisible. We're talking about Love is Indivisible. Days with My Stepsister is a S tier show. But yeah, I didn't care for it. It kind of started with the whole, like, them going out with a relationship and then her kind of breaking up with him. And I'm like, you know, she's feeling guilty. She's going to break up. And then it got quickly back into them still getting together, despite the fact that he was going out with Naori at the time, which is cheating in itself, which, again, is fine if it's the whole harem route thing. Whatever, let's all laugh it off. But this show was portraying itself as a grounded slice-of-life drama. And whenever it does that and it plays in these characters doing really kind of horrible things to each other, that's where it feels bad. Like, I can understand things like Mushoku Tensei. People had issues with the second season, what it did there. And I understand it, and I had my issues with it too. Then you have other shows that are just a dumb rom-com ecchi show, and if they're cheating on with each other, it's perfectly fine. This one didn't feel good. And I would dismiss it if it's just, okay, it's going for the harem route, but it feels... they don't feel like likable characters, the problem. In the end, no matter what it's trying to portray, they're unlikable. They're absolutely unlikable characters, except for Naori. This is my twin childhood friends, right? It would have been better if they were both blood-related sisters. Go the kiss-out sister route and let's just have fun with it. But anyways, it's a garbage show. I hate it. Never enjoyed it. Had very few moments I enjoyed it in it. Why This World Forget Me? I dropped it early on. Wasn't very enjoyable. Didn't care for it. Have no opinion. Visually, it looked like blah. Naori is unlikable too. Take that back. You take that back. Shut up. Naori's perfect. She's just a cute girl trying to catch the attention, and has no flaws. You take that back. Do I have a subreddit? No, I'm not. I don't have 1 million subscribers. So entertaining though compared to Days of My Stepsister. Dutch. We're both just gonna have to disagree. We're just both gonna have to disagree on that one. Anyways, Nier. Well, they're all well, no, not
Not Rumi. She wasn't an otaku. That was the whole point. But they were all Western otakus. I don't care for it. Like, I can't even get involved with it because they're so Western otakus. Like, that entire family was Western otakus. And I love tomboy characters. That's the problem, is I love tomboy characters. We're not talking about that show anymore. Shut up. Nier Automata version 1.1a part 2. I think Nier Automata is incredible. It's a very, very, very good show. But I almost want to put it in trash tier because Yoko Taro is a jerk and he's cruel and he makes me suffer. Yes, amazing game, anime, the suffering. I'll put it in S. I think Nier Automata goes in the S category. I don't even think I have like really a feeling of hesitation there. I think it just goes straight in the S tier. Especially part 2. Part 1 I had some lulling points that I didn't really care too much about. But I think part 2 has been pretty much a like breakneck speed out of nowhere, and it is not letting go. But yeah, Yoko Taro is a prick. Yoko Taro's a prick. It's very much so too much suffering happening in this season. And now I will the one key hang up I do have is that this does have one more episode, and I hope they don't fumble an ending. But I assume the ending's gonna be good. Like, just because everything else is working so well with it. The game is sad, but you just have to take a peek at her skirt and you cheer right back up. I don't really have much. Right now, we're just dealing with, like, absolute thigh zone right now with the current point that we're at right now with the story. But yeah, it does really have me wanting to play the game. I really badly want to play the game now. Even though I've spoiled the whole story by watching this. There's different stories, so it doesn't matter too much. Problem is that the end determines 90% of success. Best ending in fiction ever, but can't be done if anything in anything outside of the game. Yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying currently. So Spice and Wolf got S. Dude, I love Spice and Wolf. I have the whole novel series. I love it to death. Delico's Nursery. Trump. I knew the moment this show was coming out, I'm like, people are gonna just non-stop talk about the fact that it's called Trump. It's true vamp. It's been around for a long time. It's like, how old is the original Trump story? It's been around for a long time. Did I miss a super chat? I just hit. Thanks for the fun heart. 2B is alive and well, and my waifu. I hate the fact that it doesn't show up over here, but thank you so much for the super. I appreciate it. Reminds me of Mars. Yeah, I kind of got that sense from it too. Different studio, isn't it? I just watched like 1.5 episodes and I was just not feeling it. So I don't really have a opinion on it at all. Dungeon the people. I wanted to like Dungeon People. I wanted to like Dungeon People. Yeah, Mars Red I was one that I kind of was very upset that I didn't finish it. Because it was... I liked the style of it, and I like what they were doing, but... I forget why I never went back to it. Dungeon People I want to enjoy. I do like the characters, Clay and... what's-her-face? Belle. I think it has a good set of characters. It's just... It wasn't working for me. Like, I can't really peg exactly what it is, but it wasn't working for me. Like, I just don't... It every now and then does something very clever with the concept of the inner workings of a labyrinth or a dungeon. Like, they go into the process of, you know, hiring people. What happens when somebody's in there assassinating other adventurers? Do they get involved? The involvement of the Thieves Guild and all that kind of stuff. The king itself and the traditions they have with the kingdom. It has these points where it does something unique, but nothing ever is intriguing. And I don't really feel like the comedy was even there. Like, none of the comedy really worked for me. So yeah, it's just like it's an okay show. Like, I have no feelings for it. I think the art direction is very unique. I like the art style, but Dahlia in Bloom is whereas Days of My Stepsister was the biggest surprise for me, where I had very little expectations for it and it blew me away. Dahlia in Bloom is a show where it's the opposite, where I had expectations for it. I think the PV looked great, the concept was great, and then it was garbage.
It's not garbage. It's not garbage. It's just fails at literally everything. Like it was a slog to get through. I found it charming at times. I think the relationship between Dahlia and Wilfred, it was solid. It's very much so two people that seemingly don't want to get in a relationship, that are basically in a relationship, but they just don't want to admit it. They're kind of keeping to friends and having fun together. But there's several things that drag down Dahlia and Bloom. One, visually and directing wise, it's super awkward. Like it is super freaking awkward. Did my chat break? I'm like sitting here looking over here and nothing's popping up. Refreshing chat. I think chatbot just broke. That's what happened. Chatbot broke. Well, hopefully I don't miss any chats because I have to use OBS, and OBS I can't scroll or anything. So if I miss anybody's chats, I'm sorry. Chatbot sucks. But anyways, what was I saying? Yeah, Dahlia and Bloom. It has so many things that could do right, but it does none of them. The main thing is that early on it's good because it sets it up with the idea of her training to become this magic artificer, whatever the hell they were called, where they make items that are imbued with magic. And it's her learning from her father. And then quickly it turns into the father's legacy and her meeting Wilfred. And everything after Wilfred's meeting is just not good. Like early on, it's literally the father, and then in some stupid divorce proceedings, it turns into like Isekai divorce proceedings, which is fine. And then from then on, it's just basically creating things with my friend in my tower, and the conversations are super awkward. The animation and direction of the characters and their dialogue is super awkward, and it just never works. Like ever since like after like the first 2 episodes, it never fixes, and it just keeps getting worse. OBS is a Apostle Man God. Replicant's better than Automata. I don't know. I'd have to defer to my experts on Nier in order to say if that's yes or no. You do a comment and it disappears the moment you refresh it or go in and out of the video. F. Tobias might as Bill be second a hater of the character of the season. I'm gonna put it in trash. In the end, it's not really trash. It's like a D. It's more of D category, but I'm not gonna make a D category for it, so I'm just gonna put it in the trash. We'll just put here trash and D. There you go. Someone wants to ask. It's a D. Common Tragedy, original book follows by Mediocrity. Yeah, I early on it's strong, so I can see that. It just being like a first volume thing. Anyways, let's get into another massive surprise of the season. I had some expectations for it though, because I felt it was very, very unique in its presentation, but Yatagarasu, I'll just put it up here. Yatagarasu, the Raven does not choose its master, is easily going to be up there fighting for my number 1 of the season. I think Yatagarasu is an absolute legend of a series. It's super freaking good. Its writing is incredible. It does early on take its time to really kind of let you get settled into the world, because it's a very intriguing and very interesting world. It's a world of people that are able to transform into ravens and fly around, or crows, whatever. Was it ravens or crows? Raven doesn't choose master, so I guess it'd be a raven. Ravens, I think they were. They're able to turn to birds. And there's like so many intriguing aspects of it. It really quickly turns into 2 different perspectives, one being the prince of the kingdom itself, which is currently trying to fight for the crown. And then you also have the perspective of the 4 princesses from the different regions outside of the main capital that are all coming to this one temple in order for them to be chosen by the prince. And he's supposed to come there. I read burb up and I flubbed my word because I read it at the same time. One perspective is these girls being there, and from the perspective of one of them who seems to be like an absolute country bumpkin that knows nothing about the world outside, we're learning from her eyes the cutthroatness of the palace itself. At the same time, the prince doesn't want to go there because people are trying to assassinate him, and is investigating things around that. And eventually, as it gets into the end of the first core, all that stuff kind of gets, sussed out, and it quickly shifts into like this bigger story about the broader picture of the world. And it was just it just out of nowhere suddenly breakneck speed, and I'm like, holy crap, trying to hold on to this horse as it's taking off, and it just never lets go. Like, it's super interesting. And this, unlike Bye Bye Earth, does a very good job of show don't tell and explaining concepts. And I really love the fact that everything that intrigued me, it explained. And it explained it in a way that wasn't like info dumping or anything like that. It just kind of shows you it. It's super, super good. Like, I love it. Yeah, it had a very much so a Land of Lustrous moment in Yatagarasu. I think the twists later on were super intriguing. The only thing that sucks about Yatagarasu is that this is like, what, the second book? Or the fourth book? Like, there's a long novel series, and this is like one book, like somewhere in the middle. And so there's like a side of me that's wondering, did they choose this one because it's the best story? Or it's the best, easiest one to jump into? Or maybe because it could fit in 2 cores? But I'm kind of wondering now, like, why did they skip the first novels? Are they going to adapt the first novels? And yes, are we going to get any more? Because we haven't had an announcement of a sequel, and that really bugs me because I want more. I so badly want more. It's not even funny. Yatagarasu is such a good show. Like, I had to take like a little bit of a break from it, and when I got back into it, it was like, holy crap, this is just too freaking good. Like, way too good. But yeah, easily one of my favorites. All these shows are watchable with list extremely fried. All of these shows are watchable whilst extremely fried. What? Anyways, Parry Everything. Parry Everything. I think Parry Everything is like a solid B show. I think I'd probably put it in a solid B show area. Like, it's not doing anything incredible. Andrew is fried right now. Am I fried? Do I look fried? I've been hitting too much of that, what do they call it? Bone dust? Perry'd have to get used to Nora's density to enjoy it as much as Ossan. Yes, what I said. They felt like very similar between the two of them. Perry I really enjoyed. Perry the platypus. I liked Perry. Early on, I did not like Nora's character. Like, he is super... He's a country bumpkin. But what I didn't like about his character early on was that he's very much so the type that they're super OP, but they never think they're OP. Like, everything becomes misunderstandings for him and why he overcomes something. But thankfully, it grew out of that very quickly. He seems like he becomes very confident in himself, which I really do like. So within like 4 episodes, he grows out of that. And then ever since then, after 4 and onward, I really enjoyed it. I like the chemistry. I think Nora's a really genuinely cool dude. Like, he's just kind of he's the guy that's super OP that you kind of want him to be OP because he works so freaking hard for it. Unlike most protagonist character, he's an adult because he's been working this entire time to get stronger. So I do like his character. He's very charming. Even though he is very country bumpkin. Very dense on everything. And it visually looks really good. Like, I'm very surprised how much attention to detail and a lot of the fights themselves were really epic. So, like, the whole fight with the assassin in the field was really good, well done. So, I think it's overall, it's a really solid series. I was surprised. Nare Nare I didn't finish. I did not finish. It wasn't working for me. Every now and then PA work comes out with a slice of life that just doesn't seem to connect to me. It happens. I typically am always kind of hit and miss when it comes to PA work stuff. Either I just adore it or it just doesn't work for me. He's OP protagonist. He doesn't do much. He doesn't really... he doesn't want to get too involved. The dragon was nicely drawn. Yeah, they use CGI here and there, but at least for the most part it was drawn. But yeah, the one in the field, that dragon was really well put together. I thought that poison dragon, whatever, was really cool looking. It's more like a frog than anything. Such a freaking good show. It's such a good show, dude. The most underwatched show I think of this season, by far, that I absolutely loved was the magical girl and the evil lieutenant used to be arch nemesis. Maho Aku. I like that title better. It's one of the few times that I use the Japanese short more often than anything. But no, Maho Aku is so freaking good. It's charming, it's cute, it's sweet. The comedy just absolutely hits. Rest their soul. I absolutely adored what this author did with this series. It's a full adaptation. It's done. It's a complete package. I absolutely love it. The moment that it hits Blu-ray, if it does, I want it. Excuse me. But I think it's great. I think the reasons why it works is, first, Bones, I think it was Bones, did an incredible job. Whoever was directing it or whatever, visually this show, it just looks so freaking good. The directing, they did a lot of the shots. Like, I always point out, like, one of the earliest scenes where they're in this one little kind of awning place out in the middle of this park, and just the lighting coming through with the hair and everything like that, the subtle movements of the characters, the different camera angles, it was just absolutely gorgeous. And they do that throughout the entire series. Visually, it's just way too good for a short. Yes, too, the fact that it's short, it's very easy to consume. It gets in there, it does its jokes, and it gets out. It doesn't sit on things too much. It's very much so gets to the point. The comedy itself was fantastic. It's the concept of the evil lieutenant not wanting to admit loving the magical girl because they're supposed to be enemies. Him hiding the fact that he likes her and is hanging out with her rather than fighting. The magical girl herself accepting the evil lieutenant, very much so liking him, but at the same time being tortured by the stupid mascot character that gave her the powers. He's a dirtbag, and I hate the fact that he's such a dirtbag, but it's too funny that I accept it. The cat was evil. The cat is so evil. Hibana, even Hibana, I thought that I was gonna hate because she's she has Tourette's or something like that. She just doesn't know how to express her emotions, so whenever it comes to her having emotions, she just yells cuss words. And I thought she'd be annoying, but she's super sweet, and I love her character. Like, everything about the show just works. I love it to death. It's, again, another one that's going to be fighting for my top favorite of the season. Anyways, that's enough not gushing over magical girls. Not bad. How about you? And how's your brother doing? Doing in my dog? Oh, there goes the chat again. Dude, the chat is so fried. The chat is so fried, dude. Okay, is it working now? Is it fixed? What was everybody saying about this show? Because I thought everybody was just kind of went silent for this show. Bones did a great job with their adaptation. And Rip Coco, yeah. This series reminds me of... it's so sad because there's been, like... Over the last few seasons, there's been so many shows that I absolutely love, but they're from, like, creators that have passed away here recently. And it's so, like, tragic. Like, the whole thing with, those two weird brothers that got adopted in that family. I forget the name of that show. And that author passing away. Obviously, Akira Toriyama. Yeah, Migi and Dali. It was a super good show. Rest in peace. That creator was amazing, though. Like, overall, I love their works. I hate that cat. The cat was terrible, dude. I watched this one day, and I'm a bit occupied with watching ReZero in the middle of season 2. Dude, I rewatched ReZero here recently, and it's like, oh god, this show is, like, even more incredible than I remember it being. Absolutely love it. Journey through another world. This is my fluffy paradise. Even if it's trash or C tier. Byakyo and Baser win. Dude, that'd be great. Have a crossover. Cussing and the emotional expression. Beep. I like how it literally says the whole word, just beeps the end of it. So it, like, sounds so weird in English, but for them, it's like they censor it after the word's already done. It's just like the "k" part is kind of cut off. It's so great. Like us in English, it's nothing gets changed. It just accents the cuss word. Oh, the translator messed up. You're asking how the dog's been doing. Dog's doing good. Yuki's doing good. She ran away early when I went on break. The bird person was weird too. The bird person was great too. Like, Hibana had to keep in check all the time. I put Monogatari series in S tier already. Yeah. Oh no, not yet. Where's it at? Oh, right here. Not yet. It might go in A. We'll see. Isekai raising kids. I dropped it early on. It's very, like, mediocre, fluffy stuff. It's like Fluffy Paradise, yeah, like we're saying. It's just not enough to really engage me, enough to give it any time. Makeine. 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 Makeine, Too Many Losing Heroines. It's such a freaking good show. I think it's time. I'm sorry, it's time. Roshidari must go down. My S tier is too full. I gotta drop down something. I said I was gonna do it. Roshidari finally gets kicked out of the S tier. We got too much stuff in the S tier. I don't know if I would drop something else down S tier. I guess if I had, let me limit this up because I'm getting way too much stuff in S. It's not that A is bad, by the way. It's not that A is bad, people. A is like 8 to 9 is what it is. Demon's Destruction, Makeine is probably gonna be at the top. Let me talk about Makeine first. Let me talk about Makeine before I figure that out. Makeine just does everything right. Makeine is an example of rom-com at its finest, while also having extremely good storytelling. Like, typically with rom-coms, you have essentially the comedy, or the romance is a vessel for comedy. And so they have all these comedy bits they're going through for the sake of the romance itself. Whereas I feel like, especially with Makeine, they do an incredible job of having great characters, the chemistry being perfect, at the same time telling really compelling stories that are absolutely emotional. Like, this one excels more than most other ones because both the characters themselves, the female characters, are fantastically fantastically wrote, while at the same time the main character, the guy, is actually really well wrote. Like, there's way too many shows where the male character is an afterthought. The male characters are either an insert, a self-insert, so they have no emotion or no personality, or at the same time, they don't want to put any effort into them. The focus for the writer is to sell the female characters because they sell the manga, they sell the light novel, they sell merchandise. This one, I feel like Nukumizu is a rare, really fantastically put together character. Like, he just nails the scenes. He does a perfect job what he needs to do. He's somebody that doesn't think he has friends and doesn't have a really good relationship with people, but at the same time does just enough what he needs to do in order to fit into a situation in the best way possible. Like, he just almost fumbles into a situation, but does exactly what he should do, is really the best way to put it. I think Nukumizu's character is great. The female characters are all fantastic. I hate the idea of it being what it is, because it is the losing heroines now seemingly beginning attached to Nukumizu, and I'm afraid that eventually it leads to him having to turn down one of them, or it could turn to a full-on harem. Let's just do that. But the comedy's fantastic, the writing's fantastic, directing visually, this show freaking looks way too freaking good. Like, they did a phenomenal job animating this show. The character designs are fantastic. Everything about it is great. Isn't this a Licorice Coil character designer, I believe? Right? So it was a show this season. I think it's that one, right? The VA brings the energy to the F-bombs. Oh, you talk about Hibana. Rip Alya. Hey, can you explain to me about that one? Because I want to watch it as English already. I just haven't. If you're talking about Makeine, it's basically... This guy doesn't have any friends. He goes into a new school, and he's at that new school. At some point, he ends up running into the most popular girl in his class is basically trying to push her childhood friend to go after this one girl to go out with, and then only to find out that she actually likes her childhood friend. She just let him go, and so she just kind of gripes to him about it. And he keeps running into different girls that have either been rejected or waited too late or waited too long before they lost out on the one they love. And so they're all the losing heroines, and he gets stuck with them and trying to help them out in some way. But the other thing I love about Makeine is that it plays off of the rom-com tropes in a way that's very creative and very fresh. So it has the falling down the stairs on top of the main protagonist, but it does it in a way that doesn't feel like it's trying to pull that. It just does it. This person hero has the dream team, in my opinion. Do not lower Roshidare. I'm sorry, what the fan art. I'm sorry, it had to. It's getting too heavy at the top. I got it out. We'll see. I might adjust it again. We'll see. Written wrote. And then there's Rentaro. Don't forget both teachers. Yes, the teachers are fantastic. Very underutilized. The teachers are very underutilized. But I guess it's good, though, because they didn't overplay it. But I'd love to see more of the teachers. The zombie Gyaru. Love this zombie Gyaru, too. Makeine is a masterpiece if they don't announce the second season. And that's my fears right now, because they're talking about the final episode of Makeine is going to be original. But it's supposed to be by the author. So, hopefully, what they do original doesn't mess too much with the story, because if it does, then that means they're probably trying to original the ending just to cut it off. But they could just be trying to fill in. They might have a goofy comedy bit and it doesn't affect the story. But if they don't announce the second season like right off the bat, or if that doesn't mess too much with the story, we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, that's Makeine. I love it to death. So anyways, oh god, this is terrible. Makeine or Demons. I like Makeine more. Dead Demons. I probably put Maho Ako. Ooh, that's a tough. See, this is why I hate ranking things right now. Dead Demons versus Maho Aku. It's like a comedy cutesy show versus a slice of life sci-fi. It's like, how do you rank them? How do they compete with each other? Yatagarasu is probably gonna go way up to here. I think this is good order right here. So maybe I'll bring down Nier. I don't really want to bring down Nier, but again, A doesn't mean it's not good. Just not, I don't know. I hate this. I don't want to put too much stuff in my S tier, but it's like there's a lot of really good shows this season. This is a good sign of a good season. Let's just do it. We're gonna leave them in S tier. I don't care if I have too many shows in S tier. That just means it's a really good season. That's all it means. Are you trying to decide what is objectively better or what you enjoyed more? I can't say anything objectively. I just go by basically my own opinion. Yeah, like what's wrong with there being too many S tier? If the entire season's S tier, that's a good season, right? All right. In another world, is it wrong to pick up lollies in a dungeon? I actually legitimately feel like we're not gonna be able to get to like the best boy and girl unless I go really fast. I didn't think this was gonna take this long. But yeah, is it wrong to pick up lollies in a dungeon? Visually, it's butt. Visually, this show is kind of butt. Except for whenever it's close-up lolly shots, they put some effort into it. But visually, this show is absolutely butt. You have redeemed yourself, Andrew. Thank you, What the Fan Art. I'm glad I was able to correct my mistakes. Justice for Yuki, Masha, and Ayano. Dude, like I said before, those three characters are enough to make it S tier, but it's just Alya, even though she's cute, is kind of boring. Disappointing the lack of heroine in that show. Are you talking about the childhood friend? I was legit thinking they were gonna pop up and say that she's actually like some secret super warrior or something like that. They could still do that. They could still do that. I don't know. It's an okay show. Visually bad, but it's fun. It was a fun show in the end. Just nothing to write home about. Why now I'm at work? What, this stream? I hate the MC's voice. Yeah, he was kind of obnoxious. He's lacking maybe something. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. They might move up here in a minute, or we might have some stuff down here. I don't know. We'll see. A is super light right now. I agree. Show Shimin how to become ordinary. How to bore the hell out of your viewer. Show Shimin how to bore your viewer. I want to love it. I wanted to love it so freaking much. Directing and visually, it is chef kiss. This show looks too freaking good. It is such a beautiful show. So beautifully directed. Just like all these really great shots where they're talking about the promise they make and suddenly it cuts over and they're literally standing in the creek. Like, art direction, everything is phenomenal. So freaking good. The show is so freaking boring. And I'm saying that, again, where's it at? These two side by side. It's a really good example here. These two side by side. Days My Stepsister and Show Simon. They're both very slow paced. Very slow paced. They both capture the mundane. The problem is, Days My Stepsister has impact, has an interesting story to it, has drama. Show Shimin is trying to figure out who ate the stupid cupcake. How do you make cocoa? Where's my stationery bag? It's so freaking boring. So freaking boring. Yes, the last story was good. The last, like, 2 episodes was, yeah, ordinary, right? The last story was good. But damn, what an incredibly boring show. I'm gonna put Slime up here. I'm gonna put Parry up here for now. There, I filled out some A's there. No, Parry's not worthy of being an A. There you go. We got at least one more in there. But yeah, it's a very beautiful show. I do kind of like their chemistry, but if I had more of what was going on at that last arc in the entire show, it'd be good. Because they hint at that kind of stuff early on, but they never deliver on it. But I don't know. It could have been really good. It does make me concerned because I bought the Blu-ray of Hyoka, and it's the same author, so I'm like, should I be afraid of Hyoka now? Should I be afraid of watching Hyoka now? It's just, is it gonna be what? Has anybody watched all of Shoshimin? Anybody in chat that has watched both all of Shoshimin and all of Hyoka? Is this Hyoka? Or is this just because I know that in Hyoka they do like mysteries that are not that interesting. But I think Hyoka is more like entertaining and fun and comedic, right? Does Hyoka have the tonal setting as Shoshimin? So if that's the case, that kind of sucks. Because I had a sense that with Hyoka they were like mundane mysteries. Hyoka was way more fun. 1,000,000 times better? Is that 1,000,000? The zeros are blending because how small the text is on this stupid chat. Stupid freaking chat bot. People says Hyoka is boring as well, but there was more people that liking it. You know, that's the thing. Like, I've heard that Hyoka is very chill as well. I'm gonna still watch Hyoka, but still, I was just kind of curious. Have you watched Dandadan? Not yet, no. Waiting for the official release. I've read some of the manga. Maybe enough for maybe an episode or 2. Alright, Elf. Plus size Elf. I know one person in chat's going to be upset about my ideas of plus size Elf. It's a C. It's not great. It visually looks like Garbo. I think plus size Elf's biggest issue is the visuals suck. It looks bad. Like, visually it looks really bad. I like that it doesn't hold back. I like that High Dive got the uncensored version, but it visually looks bad. But you know, if you like the thick, it's got plenty of the thick. It's got the massive thick going. So if you like the massive thick, go for it. And the other problem it has is that most of the comedy bits weren't that great. Like there was a couple early on that I got a lot of laughs out of, but for the most part, a lot of the comedy in it's just very kind of. It's not there. Like there doesn't seem like there was much effort being put into making comedy beats. It's just like, okay, now this one's fat. Here's an exercise for them. It went from like a reverse isekai, like a fantasy enveloping our modern times and chunky elves and stuff like that with that concept there. And it quickly shifted into Anatori. Like if anybody's watched Anatori X, it was basically Anatori. Like it's just here's thick girls doing an exercise. That's really what it turned into. Like the manga better, needs shorter episodes. And that's what it really kind of felt like. C class for thick. No, it's C for chunk. It's C for chunk. That's exactly why I put it in C. It's C for chunk. Monogatari series. We gotta do the Monogatari series. Now I'm figuring right now, since we're going into Shinobu's arc, that we're probably going to go for like a 16 episode series. Like I'm really kind of considering at this point that we're probably going to go 16 and it's going to just kind of cut off mid-season. I think they've told all the other stories, right? Because I think originally when I last looked at it, it looked like it was going to be a core and a half or something like that. Or maybe like 18 episodes worth. So they've barely done any of it so far. Anyhow, my whole point is I loved the first episode, which again was just strictly around Tsukihi. I loved Nadeko Draw, because I love Nadeko. Like,
for people to see it. I have right here, I have God and Echo. And then it's behind me. I don't think I can turn right there. Oh, wait, right there. I have the other Deco. Sengoku Nariko is my favorite character. So getting her little story was great. Plus, it was really interesting. The idea of her being able to draw the apparitions and everything like that. I think it was super cool. Her chemistry with Ononoki was great. I think that entire segment was super good. Now, the problem that I have with this so far is getting into Shinobu stuff, which I think is great because I love getting the backstory of Shinobu. The Beautiful Princess was like a super tragic story. Getting into Deathtopia was great as well. And that kind of molding right into the current timeline with Araragi showing back up. The problem is that I'm feeling like this current arc that we're in, it feels like a lot of the chemistry's gone. And I think a lot of what Monogatari series is so great for is chemistry. And I feel especially with the backstory of Heart on the Blade, Asaron, the Beautiful Princess, with Deathtopia wasn't there. Like there was just no chemistry there. So I feel like these last few episodes have kind of been a little bit dry. It feels a little dry lately. So I'm hoping things will kind of pick back up. It's intriguing. And again, I like getting more information on Shinobu, but I hope it starts to pick up here soon. All we did was sister brushing the teeth. Her big brother. I have to go. Take care, Duhalt. Thanks for dropping by. Poor girl had to be the slowly losing heroine. At least I like the realization that she comes to. Like that last bit was super good, dude. That last bit for Nariko's story was super good. Like I got super emotional. You know, the second season for Shy was out. Yeah, I didn't finish the first season, but all Monogatari series is good in general, right? Oh yeah, yeah. Like it's a 10 out of 10. Like it's in my top 5 anime series of all time. Like it's super good. It's hard to follow times if you're not a fast reader. For subtitles, there's no dub. But I tell people if you don't mind subtitles, and you might have to pause it every now and then if you're not a fast reader, but if you can really read all that stuff and really get into it, it's super good. Like you can't find better chemistry anywhere else. S tier. Another S tier show to go up here. Where would I put it? Probably, I think there. Like, if it was just Nariko's story and Tsukihi, I would probably put it above Makeine. With like, how the last few episodes have been kind of feeling, kind of dropped down a little bit for me. If that would be, yeah, that's the other problem. It's going to be an investment. Because how many episodes we're at right now with Monogatari series? Like, 80 right now? 90? Probably 90 right now. Anyways, that's Monogatari series. The strongest warrior in the Demon Lord's army is a human. I don't care. I dropped it a long time ago. It's too generic for me. Fatal Frame. Is it Fatal Frame? Failure Frame? Failure Frame. I think it's Failure Frame. Yeah, Failure Frame. Trash. It has some things in there that are good. It's just overall kind of trash. Like, visually it's trash. The CGI is trash. The backgrounds are trash. The character designs are... Besides the female elf, which she looks like Tony Taku? Is that was the artist's name? Looks like their artwork. But everything's trash. The characters are trash. The writing's trash. It's trash. Did I say it was trash? It's a failure, yes. It's in the title. It even told me before I started watching it's going to be a failure, and I still watched it. I don't know, it's just kind of going way too much into the, like, edgy edge boy, revenge isekai. I've heard some really good things about the source material, so I'm figuring this is probably going in the realms of probably a bad adaptation. The villain is hot. Yeah, it's a little difficult to get around the villain, because she's just kind of... I don't want to touch that. I like how, like, literally one of the first shots they have when they first get isekais is the teacher immediately turns to the angel chick and immediately is like, let's listen to her. She's hot. It's just so stupid. He probably got enchanted or something. They didn't want to explain that, but
It's just so funny. He just like immediately goes, let's listen to her because she's hot. It's just, it looks so bad. Anyways, Mayonaka Punch, I didn't finish it. I just was not, I wasn't feeling it. Characters weren't, the chemistry and the characters just weren't really there. It had a couple of cute moments early on, but it was just, the cast isn't likable, really is what it is. Tokusukaki, I don't know what the hell the name is. I didn't watch but like 2 episodes of it. I immediately knew what it was doing. Didn't care for it. Wistoria. I just literally like 2 days ago got caught up in this show. I watched like from episode 4 all the way up to, was 11 is out right now. Visually, it's super good. Visually, Wistoria is super good. It's a very visually pleasing show. The animation is spectacular. They have a lot of really great shots. Like, especially like fighting the, I forget what his name is, the dude that had the ice clones. That fight in the middle of the auditorium with like some of those perspective shots was super good. Is it Julius? Yeah, I think it was Julius. Mr. Creep Face. Gotta have that derpy creep face because he's so evil, right? I think it does a lot right, but I also find it to be very repetitive. Like, this is one of those stories where it opens up, magic is all, he has no magic, and there's discrimination. And so it does seem like most all conflict in the entire story is introduced person that looks down upon him, he saves them, and they hate him for it. And oh, by the way, there's discrimination. Here's a new character, they are above him because magic is everything, and he saves their lives, and they're conflicted by it in some way. That literally is like 90% of the stories so far has been people look down upon him, he saves them, they're conflicted about it. Some people get angry because they save him, some people think they're trash because he saves them, or something else. But visually and just entertainment-wise, it still works. It's just it's stuck in its loop, and it's very tropish in a lot of regards. The thing that does kind of save it for me is I do like Will's character. Like, Will is a very strong character. I do have a lot of respect for him as a character. And that kind of keeps it afloat for me. Additionally, once everybody gets past their like discrimination against Will, they do turn into good characters. Like, once they get past the very rote discriminations that are in the world that are obviously going to be there because the world is painted around that. They're raised in a world that this is absolute. If you're raised in a world where absolute, if you're a mage, you are the best, you're obviously going to look down upon those that don't. Discriminations do exist. Does that hamper it too much? I don't know. Like, I'm in an A to B category with it. Like, sometimes I feel like I get really annoyed by this shonen tropes. Like, when he was fighting Julius. Please, somebody tell me. There was probably somebody out there. Tell me you didn't think that was going to happen. Like, if anybody did not see somebody coming up and snatching that crown while he was fighting Julius, you're crazy. We all knew it was going to happen. We all knew that Will was not going to get that crown. Despite the fact that he beat Julius, you knew he wasn't going to get that crown. Because shonen trope. because shonen trope. I'm like, it's going to be that little elf guy. He's going to walk up there and take that crown. There it is. Don't worry, I hate it, dude. Again, I'm just making a joke. It doesn't make me go, oh my gosh, 0 out of 10. But it's still one of those things of like, you just know what's going to happen before it happens. It doesn't do too much different than what you expect it to do. But what it does it well. Like, I'm not going to argue that I wasn't completely entertained the entire time I watched the show. Like, it's still a good show. It just, I feel like I'm constantly hoping that it does something super unique. Yeah, it's still an A for me. Like, I know I'm super negative, and that's because I'm just kind of working out the tropes, but it's still a super entertaining show. It's still super entertaining. And again, it's visually pleasing. Yeah, I think A's good. If you want to fight with me, I'd probably take it down to B, but I think A's good. Probably like B plus, A minus. Yeah, I did like, what was her name? Electricity Lady. Liana, I think her name was. It was Liana, right? Is it Liana? Yeah, Liana. Yeah. Now me complaining about the complaints of this show. Anyways, it's a good show. All right. Yeah, the show that should have Super Mina be the main character. This show would be so great if it was Super Mina. Like, Super Mina takes over the show. Like, just, like, halfway through the series, it just shifts to Super Mina's perspective. My wife has no emotions. I think it's like a C for me. I'm not gonna dance around this one too much. I think it's like a C for me. Like, it's one of those shows where I think it did well right off the bat. Like, the first couple episodes for me worked. Like, it's like, okay, the introduction, he's kind of an oddball, but that kind of makes sense of why he's, you know, doing what he's doing. Eventually falls in love with his washing machine. He seems to be perfectly fine with it. He has his difficulties with, you know, publicly expressing it, even though the entire world seems to be perfectly fine with you banging a washing machine. He seems to be constantly worried about discrimination against him for liking the washing machine. Everybody seems to be perfectly cool with it. And then after that, it's like, it's just existing. Like, the rest of the show just seems to be kind of existing. I've seen the backstory for Super Mina Discovered. Yeah. It was decent. It was kind of what I expected. Like, it's kind of one of those backstories where, like, yeah, kind of seen that coming. All right. It was fine. I think the biggest drawback to my wife is the robot child distract. Dude, agreed. You are definitely correct there. I think the thing's cute. The kid's cute. I thought he was going to be annoying, but the kid's cute. But most of the series is literally them teaching the thing to do things. Like, do this. Okay, now do this. That's like half. That almost feels like half of the series is literally them going, do this, and then it squeaks, and then they say, do this, they go say it squeaks. So it almost turns into literally them raising an infant, is really what it kind of turns into. Should be more focused on the feelings, their feelings, and Mina discovering her humanity. Yeah, I kind of assume that's something that kind of gradually gets going into later on. I mean, even Mina didn't like Mamoru. That was the surprise to me. But yeah, like, everything around, like, Super Mina connecting to Mina was super good too. The parents, I think, was a decently interesting way of accepting it. Like, it gives you that feeling like they're not going to accept the idea of him being with her. And at some point it turns into literally, you should do this because it feels wrong the way you're doing it. Like, the mother doesn't say this is wrong. She says the way you're doing it seems disturbing. It's a valid point. But in the end, it, like, turns into the idea of, as long as you're happy, who gives an F? And that seems to be the idea of the entire show, even though it keeps trying to play it out as if he's afraid of people knowing. Nobody gives an F. Nobody gives an F in this world. It does get into the idea of how emotions can sometimes evolve the machines too, which is kind of interesting too, but that was only dabbled into. Again, it's fine. It's not great. It's fine. Yeah, the better robot show was Nier. Like, if you wanna rate the robot shows, it's Nier, Atri, my wife. Is that all the robot shows? We had, how many robot shows we have this season? Holy crap. Oh, we had Terminator too. That'll go at the bottom. Terminator would, I don't know. I would probably put Terminator above my wife. So the rankings for the robot shows is Nier, Atri, Terminator, and my wife. That would probably be my ranking for the waifu robot shows. Chobits is better. Chobits was good, but I haven't watched Chobits in forever, so I might just be, like, completely rose-tinted glasses on that one. Yeah, I put it above my wife. I put it above my wife. But yeah, that's my ranking on that one. Sakuna. I just literally got caught up on Sakuna last night. And there's one more episode left, but I don't think the last episode is going to change my mind on it. Sakuna is just kind of... It's just good. Like, it's not great. It's not doing anything spectacular. It's just kind of... This kind of goes in that realm of something that's just kind of charming. Like, it's just got a little bit of good nature in there. It's got a unique style to it. I learned a little bit about growing rice that I didn't know about before, but like overall, it's kind of an okay show. For those who don't know, it's basically this goddess that is very lazy, living off the supplies that her mother made of rice. Eventually gets shipped off to this island where her mother raised the rice at, and has to learn how to make rice herself while taking care of a bunch of very disputive humans that she's stuck with. And it kind of just turns into each one of them sort of eventually being accepted by the group or accepting the group themselves, finding what they're good at, and them all kind of coming together to work together to make rice. All the while they're being attacked by demons. There's a bit of kind of getting into good nature of characters, the evil natures of characters, hate within people, all that kind of stuff. There's a feeling of kind of accomplishment with them raising the rice and everything. It's just okay. It's okay, good type of show. I won't sell anybody on going to watch it, but it was a lot better than I thought it would be for a game adaptation. Yeah, I love the art style. Art style is super good. There's a lot of good animation pieces in there too. Glad that Nier is an S. Don't hear enough people praising. I didn't really hear many people talking about it in general, so that's good. Yeah, it's pretty chill. I learned about the rice thanks to it. Yeah, there was a couple parts of it that I was like, okay, I never really kind of thought about that, but it kind of makes sense. The whole process of making it. Yeah, I'm gonna probably put it. It's probably a solid B. Probably solid beer. Solid beer. Kind of wondering how the kid doesn't age up. Well, was it 2 episodes ago? Like I think 10 or 11. They mentioned the idea that they're not in reality anymore. They're in the lofty land or whatever. So I kind of assumed there is no aging there, but they also kind of imply this idea of divinity. There's a divinity aspect of what they're going through. Because the little kid started glowing, and they started mentioning the idea that every single one of them is experiencing some sort of glowing that's happening. So yeah. Spoilers. Sorry. Noko-chan. Noko-tan, Noko-chan, Noko-tan. Noko-shika, Noko something. I dropped it. I have no opinion on it. I dropped it a long time ago. I watched 5 episodes, I think. And it just wasn't... Like, I laughed in the first episode a couple times, and then laughed maybe once in the second episode. Didn't laugh for the third episode. Didn't laugh for the fourth episode. That's usually like a big, massive sign that says, Andrew, stop now. Because obviously, comedy is subjective. It's not my comedy, apparently, because after 2 episodes of not laughing, I stopped. Because if I'm not laughing, there's no point in watching it. Noko-tan wishes it was Aho Girl funny at first. It is very kind of Aho Girl, isn't it? I mean, initially everybody was kind of saying Nishijo just because it had the deers, and Nishijo has a deer in it. Because obviously if you have the teacher fighting a deer in one skit in one show, and then you have another show that's comedy that has a deer in it, obviously it's just like Nishijo. No. You got the English translation for jellyfish. I like it so far. Jellyfish can't swim in the night. Super good. Yeah. Had the same experiences, just not my humor. Yeah. Like I was watching some of Psyculturist's streams, and he was watching it, and so like I was jumping into like some later episodes, and I'm like, nothing's changing. Nothing's changing. I guess I'm good. Is it director the Gabriel Dropout? I can see a semblance there, but yeah, I had mixed feelings on Gabriel Dropout too. Sengoku Youko, 2nd season. It's still got 1 more core to go. If you asked me, I think the first season of Sengoku Youko is decent. Like, I enjoy it. I love the author, by the way, so there is a side of me that kind of came into the series very hype, and I've been trying to fight to keep my hype levels up. But I never try to oversell it, because like even with the first season, I won't oversell it as being one of his better works. I love Planet With, and I think that Biscuit Hammer was good. It's just the adaptation sucks. This one, I feel like it's not, for me, not one of his better works, at least so far. Like there was some moments in season 1 that I really liked. going into season 2 of Sengoku Youko, especially like the first half of this new season, I wasn't liking. Like first half of this core. And then getting into the second half where it finally goes back, Senya basically goes back to the mountain goddess. That's when it finally started picking up for me. The moment they went back to the mountain goddess, finally things are starting to pick up. For a while there, it was feeling very like formulaic, episodic, shonen get stronger type of stuff where a new baddie shows up, he uses spirits, he goes in the spirit realm, saves them, and then they're all good, and then he gets a story told to him. And then somebody else shows up, and they're a god that's been corrupted. Spirit world transformation, attack the baddies inside of it, and they're saved, and then they tell them their story. Once they get back to the mountain goddess, it started picking back up for me. Of course, I've always liked the dragon. Senya's father is really, really cool. So I'm hoping now that they're back with that whole stuff, maybe it'll get a little better going forward. But I will admit this season for Sengoku Youko so far has been shrug. It's very shrug. It's very shrug. So I hate to do this, but I have to be honest. I have to be honest, this has not been a good season. As much as I love Sengoku Youko, as much as I love this author, I'm not going to oversell it. So I'm putting C. This is Andrew being as honest as he can be with people. And then finally, the Hollywood adaptation of an anime adaptation of a Hollywood adaptation of Arnold Schwarzenegger's key franchise series, Terminator Zero. B. I think B. I think I'm good B. I'm good with B. It does have flaws. It's not great. What I said in my review is that really everything around Malcolm, despite Malcolm's story at the end being really good, every scene with Malcolm was with them talking to the AI was extremely boring. Like, it was just extremely boring, just constantly talking about how evil mankind is. It is a very much so a mankind bad, AI stop mankind from killing self by getting rid of mankind. It's the Terminator story. So I almost feel like they kept true to the original, which is a good thing for a lot of people, keeping true to the original story, while doing a little bit to kind of evolve it a little bit with the idea of another AI involved with the process. But that doesn't really happen until later on. For the most part, it is just a lot of this bickering with the AI. Everything outside of that, like, especially what the kids trying to get away from the Terminator and the maid, who's freaking epic. Like, I love the maid story. The nanny was easily the best part of that show. I love the nanny story. But yeah, everything with Malcolm towards the later part, everything with the nanny later on was really, really good. It's just a lot of the AI talking mankind bad stuff kind of drug it down for me. But it was a good show. Like, in the end, it was a good show. So Malcolm is definitely not in the middle. Wah, wah, wah. Funny, man. You're funny. You're funny. Is that it? Is that it? We're done? Is that it? Yozakura manga is really good, but I feel Silverlink kind of fumbled the anime. I heard the anime adaptation wasn't doing good. Does it get bad at some point? It's not bad, but it could have been better. Yeah, I have like I think Northley has been watching it. He's been kind of chirping in my ear every now and then that it's been good. So I've been I wanted to go back and watch it, but I just never. I lost track of it mid-season carryover, and I haven't been able to get back to it. I would try to do my Arnold voice right now, but I'd probably butcher it. I used to have a really good Arnold voice. Hey Andrew, hey chat. You just joining right when I finish up my tier list?